You know, I've been pleased with our first two practices of this week. I like where he's at.
Is he getting closer and closer to 100%?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But you got to ask about the run game. It seems to be a little inconsistent. You guys
Yeah.
ran a little bit more in San Jose, not as much against USC.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on there?
You know, just like you said, been inconsistent. You know, we lost Connor early. That was a big thing. We had to make a couple of switches up front. Kind of loading the box with us a little bit, too. I think they were trying to make Sam throw the football knowing he was a young player and knew that they had to stop Chris in the game. We tried to get creative and try to find some different ways to do that. And obviously with them having one or two extra hats, we had to try to figure out ways to be able to do that. And they did a good job. And so, you know, we're just back to the drawing board, keep trying to best help our football team and get the ball to those guys and figure out a way we can run it. How
do you balance, though, kind of taking what a defense gives you as opposed to imposing your will on a defense?
Well, you can impose your will, get movement, but if there's one or two free hitters in there, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going to, if they make the tackle in the open field, they're going to make the tackle. And it's a 2 or 3 yard gain. If you can step through that or break that tackle, then it's a big play. And you know, sometimes that was there, sometimes it wasn't. Like I said, they did a good job, and you know, it just was a tough go at it for us. I think in the second half we settled down a little bit. We had a little better field position, and we're able to get a little more consistency running and throwing the football and keeping them off balance.
How frustrated is Chris right now?
You know, I think all players want the ball. I think in the skill and offense, I think they want to help the team and want to help win. And after the big game he had against San Jose, I assume he thinks every game will be that way. Unfortunately, he becomes a marked man. That's all everybody talked about was stopping our run game. So they have good coaches and good players over there too. I'm sure that was their main emphasis, and they did a good job at it. So I know he is, and you know, we're going to continue to work to figure out the best ways to be able to use all of our players at the best of their ability.
Jim, I wonder though, has he earned y'all's 100% confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it was a numbers thing. I think going into the game, we kind of knew that we were going to have to run the quarterback a little bit based on defensively how they did things or could do things against a team like us.
What is the identity that you think this offense is going to settle into? Or what do you want it to be?
Well, the same thing. I mean, we talked about this after the San Jose game. When you can run the football, you pretty much can control the game and do what you need to do. And we were unable to do that. We were unable to run the football, which hindered us. Our field position, I think we had 6 drives of 90 or more yards. That hindered us, which we didn't help the cause. We need to get first downs and change the field position, and we didn't, because it limits your package when you're backed up in the goal line. There's certain things you can't run, and some of those things were good plays for us to try to get to that we just couldn't back there. They're too chancy, so to speak. So we believe in the run game. Obviously, with our offensive line is a young group right now, and having some of the injuries that we have, we're regrouping right now, settling in on our guys, working fundamentals and techniques to become better at doing those things, to be able to be who we want to be.
Kyle Porter is really good at pass protection. He's also good at throwing blocks. Any consideration of maybe putting Kyle and Chris on the field at the same time?
Yeah. We had a small package of that in the game, and in both games really, and we used a little bit of both of that. So that's been something that we've thought of.
How about the new guys? I'm sorry, at offensive line, Kerstetter. What would you hope to get out of them next week, best case scenario?
You know, just some snaps and some depth. I think that it's hard to have your guys go out there and play 70 to 80 snaps a game. You know, as physical of a game as that was, it wears on you a little bit. And like I said, switching from left to right, bringing a guy in who was a left, you know, it just was one of those things that took a little time. And I think we saw that, and as coaches, we were addressing that issue.
The power stuff that you were running
Yeah.
in San Jose,
Yeah.
that counter power stuff.
Yeah.
That, obviously helps with the play action. I mean, I
Sure,
don't think
no
Shane
doubt.
had any play action against Maryland, but
Very little, yeah.
is that kind of what you guys want to do? Or can
Well,
you do it with,
if you can, again, you're talking about some young guys and with some changes and looking at you got to look at your personnel and what you can do.
Tom Herman, said that he wants Colin Johnson to get off blocks more, but when you looked at the film, was it almost eye-opening for you as to, how good he played?
I thought, again, inconsistent. I thought we had some crucial penalties at times, crucial mistakes. We're 3rd and 1, snap the ball. We were 3rd and 3. We get a personal foul to make it 3rd and 17. Just things that woulda, coulda, shoulda. We lined up wrong on a 4th down. I mean, there was just some things that took place with some young guys and early in the game that probably hurt us. When I look at our receiving corps, that's probably the most veteran group. That group has probably played more than any. I mean, if you look across the board of the guys that we played, and I thought those guys stepped up, especially at the end, all of them. Armonte made plays, and Colin made plays, and even little things that go unnoticed by guys in the game, like what LJ did or Lojo, just different things. It could be as easy as he just did a great job on a release, which freed open a guy, or he busted his ass through a post route, which freed up an in route. I mean, little things like that you saw that extra effort and that desire that those guys wanted to win really bad, and that was a very positive sign to see that type of what Coach talked about, that energy and effort.
Tim, kind of going off that, do you feel that we talked a lot before the season about how deep that receiver room is, and right now the stats, aside from the big 3, aren't really showing that? Is that just a matter of the stats aren't showing everything these guys need to do, or do some of these guys need to step up a little bit more?
No, I just think it's not showing in terms of, productivity. I mean, it's not that they're not executing what we're asking them to do. I think they are. It's just those other guys are maybe getting more balls at this time thrown at them, for lack of a better. I mean, there's only one football, so only one guy can get it at a time. So,
how's Cade Brewer grading as a blocker?
Better. He's getting a lot better, getting a lot stronger and bigger. That's the biggest thing, obviously, for any freshman that comes in and plays as a true freshman. But we're very pleased with his progress. He just has a natural ability at the tight end, has a really good feel. I thought that was, a very interesting, great play by a couple of young guys. I made a comment, you're down 7 in overtime at USC, 95,000. What are they, ranked 4th, 13 wins in a row, and you get your true freshman to roll out and throw to your other true freshmen, and the 2 schools are rivals. How's that sound?
Well, Tom
I'm
said,
sure that was on your play call list, right?
Tom said that was, I think on the Big 12 call, he said that was your best 2-point play.
Yeah.
As to whether or not you go for 2.
We actually talked about it, and I was like, Coach, that was it. I said that was our best one right there. We needed the score at that point. I thought we had them on the ropes. They looked a little discombobulated. Lojo just caught that little, option slant and kind of lost his feet. Had he maybe kept his feet, maybe we would have.
Did y'all talk about going for 2 at home?
At that point, we did. That was kind of our. We had used that.
Just because you'd already run. If you hadn't run it,
probably would have.
Probably would have run it.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we were talking about it.
The 4 turnovers that Sam had.
Yeah.
They're his fault.
They're all his fault. You got to take care of the football. I think the only one that probably wasn't was when Zach snapped the ball and went off Sam's knee. But the first interception, backed up, he underthrew it. He just didn't make a real wise decision. He tried to back shoulder a guy that was looking back at the ball, which wasn't real smart.
He was the primary guy.
Yeah. The way the coverage tipped, that was the way. They went too high. They doubled the X to the boundary, and so he had to play to the field. They squeezed off the bender, and so he threw the go route. You know, the second one there was the snap. The third one on the partial. I mean, he thought it was face mask. I don't know the rule. I know they didn't grab his face mask, but they grabbed his helmet. So I don't know what the rule is there. But you know, Cade was open early, and I think he saw that vision and knew if I can get him the ball, we're going to get some yards, big yards actually. And when that DN came upfield and did that, I still think he kind of wobbled, kept his balance, and thought, I'll still get it to him, we'll get some yards. Kid made a great play, honestly. I mean, the way he caught the ball, because Sam put it where, like, I mean, it was a really hard catch by that kid. But and then obviously the last one, very, very disappointing. We harp on that, on the ball security. You know, just we can't allow that to happen.
You have a conversation with him about sliding, you know, and protecting his body?
Well, yeah, the one on the sideline, I certainly don't want to expose his back like that. I mean, I'd like to see, if it was a DB, I'd like to see him. He's 225 pounds. I'd like to see him lower his shoulder, and he probably gets a first down. That made it fourth down. We had to use, you know, we went for it on fourth down and got it, but he certainly could have got the first down.
If Shane, if the game was this weekend, would he be ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Is Sam getting any reps with the ones?
Sure he is. He played really hard. He did a lot of good things. He kept plays alive. He made some really big throws for us, and guys went up and made some really big plays.
Is it Shane's job to lose now, or is this a competition, game time decision?
You know, I'm repping them both. I think we're going to need them both through the course of the year. It's a long year. You can see that, you know, at times we do run our guys. They do scramble a little bit. So they both have to be engaged in the game plan. They both have to get reps with the ones. We're going to play the guy that moves the football team. Whoever that's going to be is going to be the guy that's going to play quarterback.
Coach, we won't get a chance to see you next week, but have you seen Iowa State's defense yet? And what excites you about getting back into this conference and seeing these teams?
You know, I did. We've been watching Iowa State. Well-coached football team, very disciplined, play extremely hard, great technique. So you're going to have to beat this team. They're not going to give you the game. They're not going to give you a lot of big plays. You got to bleed them, you know. And which means we got to be more consistent than we've been. Can't turn the ball over. Can't have crucial penalties. Can't do those things and play behind the chains like we did against USC. It'll be another long game if that happens. So we're working really hard to not allow that to happen again. You know, it's good to get back into the conference, more familiarity with some of the teams, places. You know, it'll be a tough one going up to Iowa State. Their fans are passionate. Thursday night game on ESPN. It'll be a rocking crowd up there. So our guys know that. We've harped that to them, that this is not just some game up in Iowa. This is the first conference opener. We got a lot to prove, and we're really growing as a football team, and now's not the time to stop.
Tim, how does it change your installs or whatever you're going to do game plan-wise when you've got a bye week, but then you turn right around and you play on Thursday?
You know, a little bit, because normally you'd have a couple of extra days, so you try to take advantage of this week a little bit and get a little bit more game planning done than you normally would. The other thing is Iowa State's off, so it's not like you're going to get another game on Sunday where you could break it down and get more information or intel. You're not. So what you have is what you have, so you could actually get going on them.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I like the way the physicality that we showed. It was a big step for us, but you know, obviously this is a win-loss business, and to be not able to close that game off, that hurts, man. It really does. So I mean, there's a lot of positives to take from it, but when you get in a position like that to close out a ball game and you don't get it done, that's the part that we got to improve. So
anything you do differently that last drive? Regulation.
No. You know. Trust me, I spent the last 3 days, whatever it is, going through call sheet after call, looking at the film again and saying to myself, you know, Sam's so talented. In my opinion, if we let him sit back there and pat the football, and those receivers were so good at getting around. And we had made a couple calls earlier in the game that we mixed up some coverages, and he beat those coverages. So I think a lot of it came into play. I just think just playing a little bit hesitant during some of those calls late in the game, and I think that goes into just us being in that position where we, you know, forget about everything that's going down, focus in on that play, but be aggressive. And we were aggressive. The last thing I didn't want to do was be aggressive throughout the whole game and then all of a sudden sit, because I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night, to be honest with you, if we would have let him sit back there and those guys get open and all of a sudden you sit there and go, you know what, you don't got any spine, you know, you go the whole game and you're getting after the guy and all of a sudden you stop. So it was, you know, we're gonna put the pedal down and see what happened. He made a couple tremendous plays. We're a little bit late on a couple pressures. He stepped up on Jefferson on the, you know, little jump ball pass that he made. You know, and you know, great players do that. You know, great players find a way to be instinctive enough to when it's really on the line, when it's really, really hot and heavy, they're at their calmest. And I thought Sam did a good job.
Todd, does this first off, were you kind of, I don't know if relieved is the right word, but it's like, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like?
Well, I don't necessarily think that. I think you know, like I told you guys beforehand, there were some things that we saw in practice that we're like waiting on. But I thought, you know, once we had the first fourth down stop, I could see it in our kids' eyes, like, okay, we're good. But then the goal line stop was the one where I think that's the point where they said to themselves, okay, these guys aren't going to knock us around. We've got to do this. And they went out there and they started playing with confidence. And that to me is what we have to continue to press on these kids is like, you can do it. You got to do it all the time, and the only way to do it is to do it in practice. And like I said, I thought we had a great week of practice going into this.
Is that the thing? Watching how the game unfolded defensively.
Yeah.
Is this system? Does it really only work if Wheeler and Malik play like they did?
I believe so. I think it starts at the second level. It really does. So all three of those positions. I said this when I first got here. You know, I sat down with Malik when we first got here, and you know, talking about positions and stuff like that. And I said, you know, that will linebacker, that rover position, and that middle linebacker, if you look at the history of this package, I mean, by the end of the year, they're over, you know, 100-something tackles, and it's like middle backer or will backer, vice versa, and then it goes to usually our nickel and our boundary safety. So those are the positions that have to be very productive. We talked about this before, and I thought you brought the question up about TFLs and sacks, which we didn't have, and then all of a sudden we start getting them into predictable down and distances, and that's where this package is really good. You know, when we were playing Maryland, it was 2nd and 3, and it's like we're getting our butts kicked. We can't stop the run game, and we're not going to stop trying to defend the run game because we're not going to let those kids bleed out. So it was a combination of getting tackles for loss and really controlling their run game, which when you're on the sidelines, you can say to yourself, oh, they're most definitely passing the ball here. We just tackled them for a 2-yard loss. So it makes your call sheet a lot more precise in terms of what you want to do.
Did you
I
learn
seem to
anything
play
about
free more than we've seen in a while, especially on this second level. Is it just more confidence in the system, or is it just something that simple as turning them loose?
Yeah, I think it's a piece of both. I think it's understanding what we're trying to get accomplished during the game, but also it's like, you know, probably more or less pushing them towards plays where it's, you know, are we a read and react team? We were. I mean, during USC, but during Maryland, we weren't. In Maryland, we sat back and we kind of analyzed and diagnosed things and didn't make any plays. Then we started cranking them up versus San Jose State, and we said, okay, we can start doing this. And then we did a little bit at USC in the beginning, and then they did some things, you know, a lot of motion to empty, a lot of things that you know, they tried to neutralize some of that stuff. And then, you know, we went on later on in third down, and we're going to go. So I think it is. I think they just have to understand what we're going to be and what probably my personality is, where I'd rather us try to press the issue knowing that they have to execute too, instead of sitting back and, you know, letting somebody be comfortable. You know, Sam throws a bad ball. I mean, they actually, you know, we're under one pressure. He's got the guy wide open. He overthrows a ball, and it's like we didn't really do much. You know, but he sees a little bit of stuff coming at him, so you know he doesn't get through his throw, and all of a sudden the ball sails on us. So that's how I want us to play. What's that?
He felt you on that play.
Yeah, I just want us to be able to go out there and be unpredictable, but also, you know, get our kids rolling. You know, I think we play better when we're starting to get pushed through plays.
You tried some different things with your down linemen.
Yeah.
Anything you learned last week or anything ignite with those guys?
Yeah, I thought that Chris and Puna did some good things. I think, you know, I like I told you guys beforehand, I'm expecting those guys to make a whole bunch of plays. And, you know, through movements and stuff like that, I was like, hey, you know, but those guys started showing up. And then Puna became like, that's the Puna that was like in fall camp, like the TFL Puna, the guy that's chasing the quarterback. Chris the same way. So you look at that and say, okay, well, it's the why part. Why wasn't that there, you know, a couple weeks ago? And then you start to learn by call, and you say to yourself, he's better at doing this. So there's a lot of learning by both parts. Myself, you know, I look at it and say, okay, versus these guys, we need to do this. So I'm learning on the run too.
Well, Roach collapses the goal line.
Yeah, it was a heck of a play by Malcolm. I mean, he's another guy that's, you know, he's got to play a lot more. He was a playmaker last year. You guys saw him, and he's got to be more productive. So you get into these games where, you know, collectively the front seven is doing some things and controlling the run game. Like I said beforehand, when you do that, you feel comfortable on second and long of calling some things that this package really had, like some exotic stuff that you call it at the wrong time, you can give up a big play. You feel comfortable knowing that, you know, okay, we're controlling the run game. Even if we call this thing and we're wrong, we can still get them on the ground. So it makes the game a lot easier to call.
What did Amenahue show you on Saturday?
Pass rushing. You know, we just got to harden him up in the run game. But he's a guy, you know, I don't know. I think he might be leading the team with big 2 sacks, but he's long. He can get after the quarterback. We've got to set him up more. So he's proved to us that he can be an elite pass rusher. So we've got to get him on the field more on, you know, situations where they're throwing the football. But he's done a nice job. I'd just like to see Charles be more stout in the run game. That's where he has to get better.
Todd, I know you talked about after Maryland there were a lot of missed tackles. By the way, you guys looked at it. When you went back and watched the film, it seemed like there weren't a lot on Saturday. Is that, in terms of tackling in space, leveraging the ball, is that what you want?
Yeah, outside of the last 1.5, you know, that was gut-wrenching. But golly, I think I shattered my headset. It was awful. But yes, to answer your question, you know, I think guys are pulling the trigger. You know, I looked at Maryland and said, like, what are we waiting for? Why won't that guy just take a shot? Listen, everybody's going to miss a tackle. You play the game of football, you've missed a tackle. I get that. But if we collectively run to the ball, you know, the 10 other guys can cover you up. But you have to take a shot. You know, you have to stop the guy's momentum. If you sit there and wait, they'll just run circles around you. So I thought we were a lot more aggressive at going after the football, which limits, you know, missed tackles because we can cover them up. I thought we ran to the ball really well. I just thought collectively when we went out in the field with that environment, our kids like okay, this is a big time, you know, environment right now. You know, let me look around and see how guys are feeling. I felt them in pregame. I was like, these guys are ready to go, man. So that was the part that I thought I really liked that part.
How did Devontae do? Devontae Davis.
Okay. He could, you know, he's, in my opinion, just has to be a little bit more detailed, more fundamental. There's some things that obviously he has to get better at. I thought okay.
Coach, what do you think of Sean Elliott on Saturday?
He played really well. You know, it's a shame, you know, a lot of stuff he did. You know, he had an opportunity to get 3 of them. You know, that play was so close for him to do it, but he played really, really hard. I'm really proud of that kid because he took some, and just like myself, he took a lot of heat in Maryland now. You know, they didn't play well. He didn't play well at all. So he came back, and I was really dialed in. You know, when he got, you know, the one pick was a ricochet with it, but he did a great job of putting it in the end zone. And then he made some hustle plays. I don't know if anybody knew, but the play before we had the 4th down stop on the goal line, I mean, he runs from all the way over on the other side and throws his body in. And, I mean, he's about 6 inches away from scoring on 3rd down. He makes that play. And then we line up, and Malcolm makes the play on the goal line stand. So I thought he played really well.
How do you make sure that these guys bring you that same buzz, that same energy in a game that's not going to be as high?
Well, to me, it goes back to collectively going in the film room, and it's like, from the naked eye, you can sit there and you can pat them on the back. From a coaching eye, you look at that film and say, hey, fellas, man, this is what happens. This is why we don't close games right here, because we don't do this, we don't do this, we don't do this. We're not in the second place business. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, when you lose some games, okay, sometimes you get into your mind that, okay, we did this and we did now. You either win or you lose. It's real simple. It's cut and dry. It's not. it's not my daughter getting a sticker on her forehead for coming in second place. That's not what we do around here. We're the University of Texas, and we should win ball games like that. And that's what we explained to them right off the bat when we had them in there and we showed them the film. I thought we had a great practice today. We went out there and it was, I mean, guys got after it. They're starting to understand the culture, that everything happens. You can go on the road and play the way we play because of the way we practice, and that's what we keep stressing. The game itself is a reflection of what you do during the week in terms of preparation. But there's enough on film to sit there and it's not euphoria when you lose, not around here.
How close is Chris Brown to getting back?
He's going to be, right now he's working through some stuff, and I'm sure Herm will bring it up with it, but he's close.
Chris
Todd,
Boyd, go ahead.
Before the season, Jason talked a lot about Chris Boyd being the leader in the cornerback room. After Saturday, do you guys still view him as leader, or does he need to work?
He needs to work. He needs to work. And to me, it's like, getting out of fall camp, we legitimately thought, I said, this is a big-time dude. And Chris, the consistency is what we need. What he does is there's some guesswork on it instead of being fundamental and technical. And that's what we want Chris to do all the time in practice, is take the guesswork out of it. You saw a couple plays when we were at Maryland where it was a guess. It's not, your corners can't play the guess business. That's not how it works. So we stay on Chris and say, hey, listen, focus in on your job, play technical. You have the talent to do it, but he's got to play much better. There's no doubt.
The last play before the half.
Yeah.
Prevent.
Yeah, we cut the back loose. And then, the guys in front of us, 30 yards, we got 7 guys deep, and we take a poor angle to the football, and it's gut-wrenching. I don't know how to describe it, you just take your shot and put it on your left pad. That's it. That's all you have to do. Get as high as the running back, take your shot, and then we have 5 guys, like 5 legitimate guys. Forget about Colin. He was back there just in case they got the ball off so somebody could go up and we don't get out-jumped. So, but you have Malik back there. You've got a couple of Deshaun back there, a whole bunch of guys that can tackle. That was, that play, I mean, you talk about, like, anger. I mean, freaking past anger. I mean, I couldn't describe my emotions right there. I mean, I lit up.
Did you shatter your headset that time, too?
That's what I did.
How many did you go through?
Just one. That was the time.
Okay.
Coach, next week we won't get a chance to talk to you.
Yes,
You're
sir.
preparing, but what do you see in these Iowa State Cyclones offense, and how anxious are you to get this?
Yeah,
going?
it's a spread system. I think they do a really good job of distributing the football. The quarterback is accurate. They got 2 running backs that can run, and they're huge outside. Zard is freaking a monster. He can catch. You throw a ball in his area, he's going to catch it. So it becomes a matchup issue for us. He's a big guy. We're going to have to put a big guy on him, but he also does a tremendous job of blocking too. So they're impressive. They're putting up huge numbers on offense. They're going fast. And like I said, in this league, every team, it doesn't matter who they are, every offensive coordinator is the top of their field. They're creative. They do things that are unique, and they always issues every week in terms of talent level. So that atmosphere, I've coached there before. We have guys on our staff that are from there. It will be electric. I mean, that is, everybody will be at ESPN game, and it will be a packed house at night. And like I said before, and it's college football, and that's what it should be. A Thursday night game on the road, great crowd, should be exciting.